Hey, I'm Lorna and welcome to my channel Thread and Yarn, where I document all of my sewing, knitting, quilting and natural dyeing projects. Oh, I'm getting quite a glare of sun today. It's New Year's Eve and it's that time of winter where we either get no light at all and it's just really dark, or I get glaring sunshine suddenly. So welcome to New Year's Eve in the West Country of the UK. I just thought I'd do a little video. I know lots of people are doing everything they've made this year and recaps and things like that. I'm not sure I could really figure out what I've made this year, and lots of things are sort of halfway through. Plus, I guess I don't really think of it like that in a what have I produced in this last 12 months, but more I just felt like doing a general reflection on my practice over this year, some things that have been great that I've really loved, some things that have sort of had lots of use for my wardrobe since, and what some of my plans are going forward. I don't really make New Year's resolutions as such, but try to sort of reflect throughout the year on my practice and life generally. And I find this time of year, when it's darker and we've got longer evenings, I tend to come up with more creative plans for the coming year anyway. I think that's kind of a natural thing about the progression of the sort of natural year and how it relates to my making. I'm just going to sort this light situation out because I'm getting blinded. Okay, hopefully that's under control now. So yeah, it's just a general reflection on some of the things I've made this year, how they've informed my making practice, and some of the things that I've mentioned before that I'm excited about. It just felt like a nice little way to cap off the year. And a lot of stuff has happened this year for my making, and being part of this making community has become a huge part of my life. And I just wanted to say a massive thank you really for being so welcoming here and on Instagram, but particularly here. I think it just feels like we've got more, well, at least I certainly have more time to talk to you, to show you things in a bit more depth, hopefully come across a bit more like a person than you can on Instagram. And yeah, it's just been really lovely to connect with you. And I just wanted to say thank you for being really active in the comments and making me feel like we're all sort of connected no matter where we are in the world, with all the different things that we're making, all of our different lovely ideas. It's just really lovely to connect with like-minded people. And I think I'm lucky where I live now in Gloucestershire. There's quite a lot of creative people around me, and I've managed to make some like in-person maker friends, which is great. But that's sort of the first time in my life that that's really happened. So I've really relied on the online community for inspiration and friendship, in a, you know, that we share the same sort of things in common that we like. So I just wanted to say how much I appreciate that, and how lovely it is to have found such a beautiful community online. And an additional thank you as well, because in my last video, my December update video, I announced that I was starting a Patreon, and I wasn't really sure if anybody would be interested, but I was just blown away by the response, and I just wanted to say thank you so much to those of you who are supporting me on Patreon. I've got lots of free members and also members who are paying for the different tiers, so I'm just beyond grateful, and I hope that you are enjoying my Patreon so far. If this is the first time you're hearing about it, basically it's just a place where you can support makers and creators like me and lots of other lovely people here. And on my Patreon, I post more in-depth content than I can here, because obviously the videos and things take quite a lot of time. So I post more in-depth content over there. Some of it is accessible for free, because I still want that to be accessible for people who have who don't feel like they're able to financially or want to financially commit to Patreon. So there is still some free content, and then there are a couple of tiers, one of which you have access to some of my patterns as I develop them, and fibre folk videos where I talk about the connection between fibre, textiles and folklore. And then the higher tier is a little like boost on the threads tier, where to say thank you for that extra support, 4 times a year I'm sending a little thank you box full of seasonal inspired goodies, like some naturally dyed yarn and fabric scraps and things like that. So that one's been really popular. Thank you for that one. I would just say though that they take me about 2 months of membership, so obviously I don't get your whole Patreon membership fee, some of it goes to Patreon. So it takes me about 2 months of membership to be able to afford the box and the postage. So I'm saying if you could subscribe to that at least 1 month in advance of the first box going out, and if you could please, because there's no way I can control this, but if you could please subscribe for at least 2 months so that I'm not losing money, that would be wonderful. But all of that's in the details on the Patreon. But thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed to that. I am so excited. I'm already planning the spring equinox box. I've got some undyed yarn and I have been doing lots of natural dyeing planning. I'm so excited to get inspired by the colours of spring and all the sort of loveliness as we move into the new season, the first flower buds, the first sign of little bits of green appearing in the trees and in the hedgerows. And I'm very excited to create some natural dyes and get going on this beautiful Shetland yarn. And there'll be some other little bits in there as well, some surprises, some more fabric-y things for those of you who are sewists. So that's a bit of a long-winded overview, but I just wanted to say thank you and how excited I am to do a lot more creating. More on natural dyeing in a bit. I just thought I would go through some of my favourite things from this year, because why not? And they're all dresses, to be honest, in terms of sewing. I've realised that I really enjoy wearing dresses because of the opportunity to do lots of layering, and I'm doing it right now. And I think these 3 dresses that I've got that I wanted to show you are quite similar in that they are all sleeveless, look great with a turtleneck or roll neck underneath. And I feel like it's a bit dark. Might be a lot of adjusting the light this morning, such as winter. This is the Soften Studio Clo Bias dress. I'll put in some full-length shots that I have shown you before. I love this dress. The linen was gifted to me from Ray Stitch in exchange for me making a post on Instagram about it, but I've been eyeballing this linen for ages and it is lovely. It's got a lovely weight. It's just really swooshy. It's got nice deep pockets, this dress, and I really like it against this black turtleneck. I think it makes the gingham really pop. I'm not sure if I'd wear it with outsing underneath because it's quite low, but I have been wearing it with a little white knitted top in the summer and on warmer days, which I'll put a picture of. But I'm enjoying it on this winter day with this black, it's just I think an M&S roll neck I bought about 10 years ago, going strong. I really like it over the top, layered up. Hopefully going to the pub tonight for New Year's Eve with my mum and stepdad, my partner and the doggies. So I've got I thought I'd get ready for this video and also pop this on ready for the pub. I don't think I can show you, but I've got some grey woolly tights on, so I'm all cosy. And these other 2 dresses I wear in a pretty similar way. So I wore to a Boxing Day family party the other day. I wore my red block printed Etta dress over the same roll neck, and it looked really lovely. I think the red against the black. It's now really dark and raining outside. I love this dress. I think this is my #1 make from the last year. It's just really well made. I think the Merchant & Mills pattern is really well done. There's lots of little details which I think make it feel like quite a professional finish. And I've gone through those in more detail in the video where I made this dress, which I'll link above or wherever that pops up. But just to show you, it's fully lined with this beautiful sort of hemp cotton from Mechlin Mills, which has got a really historic feel to it, and it's all edge stitched down, and then the final bit is slip stitching it to the waistline. And just that little finish to hide the seam, and that tiny bit of hand sewing at the end just makes it really special, I think. So I think just some details like that make it feel quite special. I quite like having a bit of hand stitching at the end of a project, because I feel like it slows the process down, it adds a bit more intention into the make, and it feels sort of more handcrafted. It's not something I've just bashed out on the sewing machine. I had to take some time. My new sewing machine can sew on buttons, but I actually don't use it for that, because I just really like that process at the end where I just sit down and I'm like, it's easy now. All the seaming and weird corners and everything's done. I can just sit down and enjoy hand sewing on some buttons with a cup of tea or something. And it just feels, yeah, like a nice peaceful end to the project. So I always like doing that. And then this slip stitching had the same sort of role for me. So I really like this dress. I got the fabric from Cloth House in London, who do loads of block printed fabrics, which, yeah, it's a great, I've never been there in person, but they've got a website and ship pretty quickly. So I was a really big fan. It's really, yeah, I keep saying the word special, but it's a really special dress for me. And I'm enjoying layering it up to wear it in the winter as well as in the summer. This dress I can wear on its own in the summer because it's got quite a high neckline, which I really enjoy actually, and various ties to nip it in slightly at the waist, but it's got a lot of volume and a lot of meterage. But yeah, I can't recommend that pattern enough really. It's probably maybe my favourite of their patterns. I think it's really well crafted. Another favourite dress is another pattern by Soffin Studio. It's the Leah bias dress. I made 2 of these in the summer. This is definitely my favourite. It's from, the fabric is this emerald green, also from Ray Stitch, who've got loads of beautiful, lovely linen. Not as much as Mechlin Mills, but some really like beautifully chosen fabrics. And they've got a lovely shop with really, well, somebody said to me they didn't have a very friendly experience in there, which is a real shame. It so makes a difference, doesn't it, when you go in? But I've been in maybe 4 or 5 times and always found it quite friendly, but sometimes you can catch them on an off day and that's a bit of a shame. But I would recommend checking it out. But this fabric's from there. It's a lovely green, a bit of a different green for me. It's much of a deeper green than I normally go for, sort of paler or olivey toned greens. But I'm really glad I did. It sounds a bit silly, but it felt a bit out there for me. But again, this one's great for layering. I really like it over, again, the black roll neck. And I find that quite wearable. The bias cut is lovely because it's very comfortable. But if I did want to wear something that I could dress up a bit more, that maybe is a bit, it's not figure hugging, but it's sort of slightly more tailored looking because of the bias cut. And yeah, I would probably wear that out for that reason. But I can also, you know, dress it down. I've worn it with like black Birkenstocks and t-shirts and things. So I think it's pretty versatile. Melody from Soffin Studio is lovely, has some really beautiful patterns. So if you haven't checked her out before, please do. Something else from Melody, let me show you. So just to say thank you for me making lots of her patterns this summer and talking about them, even though she hadn't asked me to, I just loved them. As a little thank you, she sent me this pin cushion. So no obligation to post at all, just a sort of really lovely friendly gift. And it's this beautiful little flower pin cushion with a little magnetic centre. There's a few colours you can swap out. I honestly have never had a pin cushion before since I was a child and used to use my nanny's, but it's so useful. I just have a little pot of pins normally, which is a bit chaotic, but I just put this on my sewing machine, like the free arm bit, and yeah, it's brilliant. It's super cute and I love it. So thank you, Melody. I think she's still selling these, but it's a really, I think it's quite like a sweet little gift as well. But yeah, so made lots from Soften Studio, and I think the dresses are lovely. I'm looking forward to making some next year, and I think she's got a new pattern out. I think it's called the Wind dress, which I think is going to be lovely for spring and summer. So those are the dresses that I've got a lot of wear out of that I really loved. The other sewing thing, obviously I'm a big vest fan, I talk about vests a lot, and I'm also in the middle of designing my own vest waistcoat, which is called the Bilbo vest, because I'm obsessed with the Lord of the Rings, and this just really felt like the sort of thing that Bilbo would have worn to his birthday party. So I've talked about this a few times. I am slowly working on this pattern. I'm really happy with the fit now and the shape. I'm making some different samples up, but it's slow going for me using the computer to design the pattern. I've been using Illustrator now for about a year, working on this vest for that entire time, but I just want to make sure it's perfect as much as I can, and I find it a bit harder to do the digital side of things, so that's what's slowing me down. But I am going to get there, and I'm really hoping in very early spring it'll be ready for testing. I'm making a quilted version of this. I did talk about this in my last video. I was hoping to do it between Christmas and New Year, but I decided to not do too many projects and just spend time with my partner and relax and be in my allotment. So I haven't started that yet, but I am going to do a quilted version of the Bilbo vest, and I'm going to use some of the fabrics that I've been collecting for the quilt for our bed. Just little bits of them, just to practice some of the quilt squares and have get some ideas about what patterns and quilt blocks I want to use for our bed quilt, and also do another sample for this vest. So that's something I'm going to start. I know I always say this, and I don't know if I ever get around to things in the timeline that I say, but hopefully in the next week or two, because I'm really looking forward to. I really want a hand stitching project to do in the evenings as well, so I'm quite keen for that. But yeah, so those are all my sewing things. I think something that's a bit missing from my wardrobe that I did say that I would get started on at some point is making some more basic layers. So for example, this black roll neck goes with any of the dresses that I just showed you, and I've got some bamboo and cotton ribbed jersey, so I think I'm just going to make some like True Bias Nico tops, which are quite a similar shape to this, in various different colours, and then use the scraps from that to make some underwear, because I made some underwear, the peachy undies from Cool Stitches, which are pretty comfy. I might make a couple of adjustments, but I'm gonna do some more jersey sewing to make some basics like roll necks or t-shirts and underwear. Because I like layering, and obviously everyone wants comfy underwear. I'm also in the middle of making these Helene jeans by Anna Allen in this beautiful burgundy cord by Green and Velvet, who gifted this to me. But I'm really enjoying working with it. It's quite a nice sort of mid-wale corduroy. And I like this pattern a lot. I was thinking about doing a video on the making of Helene jeans, but I decided I didn't want to spend lots of time doing that over the Christmas break. So I'm just making these ones, and I'll show you a bit more detail on some jeans in the new year. But yeah, I'm in the middle of making these. I really like the pocket bag cotton that I've chosen to match it. I think it's going to be really cute. I'm doing the slightly wider legged ones, but as you can see, I haven't finished them, so they're still open, and I need to stitch that other side of the leg together. But I'll show you these when I finish them. But I'm liking how they're looking so far. I think I'll get a lot of wear out of them. I do like corduroy. I think it's nice and comfy for wearing all year round. I also managed to finish this plissé skirt for my Christmas party. So even though I didn't get my cardigan done, I did get this skirt finished. I did an invisible zip down the side and a little waistband which I slip stitched down on the inside, and it was really cute. I think if I did it again, I would add a bit more volume. I gathered it at the top, but I wanted the plissés to still be quite obvious and not too bunched up, so I didn't add loads of width. But I think I probably would next time because it clings a little bit to the legs, but I think it's quite a nice festive little skirt. In terms of knitting, I was so happy to have finished, I always forget what this is called, the scallop jacket by Stricker Cafe. I showed you this in my November video, but so I'll just show you quickly here. But it's lovely. It's in this Brooklyn Tweed Arbor in the colour Burnished, which I really love the colour of. I have to say is bobbling quite a bit, which I don't really mind, except that I hope this would be a slightly smarter knit that I could wear with like smart trousers and things going out. And it does still look really nice like that, but the bobbling effect makes it look slightly more casual, I think. But I do really love it, and I've gotten a lot of wear out of it already. I've been wearing it with some really high-waisted dark blue jeans and a little t-shirt, and then this over the top, which I quite like. Yeah, so, and the colour is very wearable. It fits quite well into my wardrobe. So I'm not sure I'd do a whole project in this much rib again. It was a bit boring, but I'm really glad it's finished, and I love this colour. So that's a good one. I did say I was hoping to finish this cardigan for Christmas, and I felt like I was rushing it, so I just decided to stop and to relax and not set deadlines. So I'm still working on this cardigan, but I have finished one sleeve. I just need to bind it off. But this is the rota cardigan, which I've shown you before, and I've just got one sleeve left to do and the button band. Although I would say it's supposed to be quite a high-waisted cardigan to go with skirts, but I think this is borderline too high-waisted, so I might unpick all this tubular cast off, which might take a while, and add a few more, maybe another inch to the ribbing. I'll show you what it looks like so far. It is quite small, but I think it's supposed to be quite fitted, and I think it's going to be lovely with skirts that have a lot of volume. Obviously I haven't done the button band yet, so that will add a little bit of width, but it does fit. It's in this lovely autumnal colours of yarn by Pigment and Ply. But as you can see, it is quite short, and I don't think I'd wear a skirt starting quite that high. I would probably put the highest I'd have a skirt, I probably wouldn't put them above the bottom of my ribs. So I probably want this to at least come down to the bottom of my ribs. But I think the colours are lovely. I really like them on my skin tone, and I think they'll go with, you know, most of my wardrobe colours. So I'm just finishing off some Christmas socks, which is obviously, Christmas is gone, but they're for my mum and stepdad. So once I finish those, I'm going to pick this back up again and hopefully get this finished soon, because I'm really excited to wear it. I think it's going to be really beautiful, and I'll show you that when it's done. And the rota cardigan, because I think it will be such a useful piece in my wardrobe, because I do love high-waisted skirts and high-waisted trousers. I showed you in my Copenhagen video that I'd bought this Raumer garn in the weight, or the range Fairisle, which is like is it 4-ply, pretty much? Yeah. In this lovely spring-like green. So I'm going to make the rota cardigan again in this wool, which is a bit more rustic, non-superwash, and I think that's going to be one of the first things I cast on. I'm really excited about that once I finish the first one. I'll show you the socks as well. I've been really getting into knitting socks, and I've been making them as presents for loved ones, mostly just my mum and my stepdad. These are a pair I knitted for my mum. I've just cast off the grafting stitch at the bottom this morning. This is in the West Yorkshire Spinners yarn, signature yarn, called in the colourway Bluebell. I'm making my stepdad a sort of complementary pair in a different shade of theirs, and they're really cosy and feel quite robust. So I like those a lot. They're very simple, just your basic sock pattern really. I think it's like cast on 60 stitches, and it's a wedge toe, but yeah, they're lovely. I've really enjoyed knitting socks, and I'm hoping to do more of them next year, because I love the feel of wool socks against my skin. I think wool's such an intelligent fibre. Sort of seems to have that natural intelligence about when your skin needs to breathe and when you need to keep warm. So I'm just loving wearing wool all year round. So I hope my mum likes these. I think she will. And other knitting projects. So I've been super excited the last couple of weeks because I put my first knitting pattern, the folklore hood, out for testing. It's in test at the moment. I was quite nervous because it's my first one, but everyone's being really lovely and really helpful. They've pointed out some things to me already, so I'm busy editing the pattern and hopefully getting it in a really good place for releasing it in mid-January. And I love it. I went to the woods on the winter solstice sunrise the other day, and I wore it in the woods and I felt like Little Red Riding Hood. So I did a little thing on my Patreon about the history and folklore of red hoods, which I found really interesting to research. There's a free article on there, and then also a video if you're a paying tier member. So check it out if you haven't already. I found it quite interesting, and the revolutionary history as well of red hoods, as well as a bit about Little Red Riding Hood. So yeah, that was fun, and I'm really pleased with it. I've worn it loads. It's been super windy here over the last couple of weeks really, but especially the last week, and I've been doing lots of gardening on my allotment in our garden, and I've been wearing it loads because it really keeps the wind off my ears and stops my hair flapping around my face, and also around town. So yeah, I think it's pretty cute, and I'm really happy with it. I got the idea while I was knitting some socks while I was in Copenhagen, and as I was doing the heel turn, it just gave me the idea for sort of picking up stitches and creating this shape for the top of a hood. So I quite like the this line along the top of that sort of square rectangle. I think it gives it a nice design feature. And this rib at the bottom makes it nice and cosy around your neck. I've been thinking it could be cool if I extended that, or even made it like a slight cape over the shoulders. We'll see. But yeah, this should be out soon, and if you are watching and you're also a tester, thank you so much. I got more applications than I expected, so I couldn't choose everybody, which was very sad, but for the people that applied for the test and then didn't get chosen, I've sent them a little discount code, which will be when I've set it up on Ravelry and everything. When it's released, you'll be able to use that there to say thank you for applying. So yeah, that's an important knit for me, obviously, that I'm super happy with from this year. And I think those are all the things I made, well, not all the things I've made, but the things I wanted to highlight to you. In terms of some plans for next year, I am feeling, I think, probably like the most inspired I ever have for this coming year. A lot of that is I'm feeling quite settled into a rhythm with my making and also with my growing. Like, we grow our own food, and I'm starting to carve out an area on my allotment for some natural dyes and some more herbs and things like that as well. We've been growing some natural dyes in our front garden, but kind of running out of space, and there's some new ones I want to try. So I'm really excited to dedicate some proper space to that, and also to learn a bit more about different herbs and yeah, how I can sort of build that kind of practice into my life. I love foraging and learning about plants, about their histories and about their uses, and all the different ways they can bring benefits to our life and also to our creativity and our making. So I'm really excited to explore that more. I might be doing some more in-depth stuff about that on my Patreon as I move into the next year, but It's all part of a sort of longer process, but I've been having lots of fun planning out my space on the allotment and sourcing some different seeds. I'm hopefully doing some seed swaps with some friends as well, and just, yeah, I feel like my creativity is feeling I feel quite inspired by nature, and both all the sort of colours throughout the year, and also what I can grow from the native plants that that the UK has, and just sort of build all these practices up and see how they can all interconnect and work together. I'm so excited about doing more natural dyeing for the Patreon boxes, and also for myself. I've got this and some other undyed yarn, and one of my things that I'm really excited about, which is going to be a bit of a longer project over the course of next year, is to dye and knit my first Fairisle cardigan. I've got some indigo and I've got some, I think I've got some Kutch and Madder as well, so that's sort of blues and browns and reds, and I'm quite excited to use those colours to make a cardigan. I'm considering doing the Marriott cardigan. I think it's by Scandi Knits or Scandi Wear. I'll pop the details up. I've lusted after that pattern for quite a long time. I've even painted it because I so wanted to make it. So I might do some natural dyeing for using this Jameson Shetland yarn to make that cardigan. So that's something that I'm going to do quite slowly. It's not, I don't want to rush it. I'm aiming to have it done by next winter, so it'll be something sort of throughout the year, sort of as my quilt will be, to be honest. And I'm quite looking forward to having these slow projects that don't have a sort of particular deadline. They're just going to be with me throughout the year, and I want to work on them slowly and show you the process as well. So I'm really excited about that. And because I want to spend a lot more time in my allotment next year, I've mentioned before, but I'm going to make some dungarees. And I've got this quite heavy duty canvas from Merchant & Mills. I'm tempted to make the Harleen dungarees pattern again, but maybe make them slightly more fitted in some places, so they're not too baggy, but so I've got enough ease in the hips and the knees and things for moving around. So I might just hack the Harleen dungaree pattern, and I think that's going to be one of my first projects of the new year, because I'm spending so much time on my allotment. I could really use them, to be honest. I think that'd be really useful. The other thing that I'm very excited about for the new year, which I've been sort of teasing about for a while, is this sewing retreat that I'm going to host at my friend's beautiful like 17th century home in the Cotswolds in Stroud. And we've been thinking about dates and doing lots of planning. It's looking like it's going to be a weekend at the end of May. I'm trying to finalise that date and also get you some photos of the house. So I'm going to do my next video. I'm hoping I'll have some photos and video footage of it, and I will do a proper video about the retreat as well, and put more details about it on my Patreon and a website when I've built it for that. But I'm really excited. It's going to be how to make the zero waste gather dress by Birgitta Helmerson, who's kindly allowed me to run a little teaching workshop on it, and it's going to be just lovely. I'm so excited about it. It's going to be very seasonally inspired. There's going to be a homemade and homegrown by me spring lunch. There's going to be lots of different teas and snacks. The house is beautiful. So if you just want a weekend away in the Cotswolds, I think it's going to be a perfect place. There's so many beautiful walks nearby if you want to connect with nature. Stroud is in the middle of 5 stunning valleys. So I think if you haven't been before, it's a wonderful chance to come and visit what I think is the best town in the world. And the Cotswolds obviously is stunning. And Lucia's house is just got so much history and character. And there's going to be multiple different rooms, one big, bright, lovely sewing room, and another with a fireplace and lots of armchairs where you can go and relax and think about which buttons you want to choose, have a cup of tea, and there's going to be accommodation as well. So I'm really excited about that. I'm going to keep sharing more details, but I think it's going to be a really beautiful weekend. I am also conscious that there are some people who live in Stroud who might not want the accommodation and retreat side of things, so we are thinking about at a similar time about a second event for people who are more local, who aren't necessarily looking for the whole retreat accommodation package, but would just quite like to build on their sewing skills. So I'm thinking about that as well, because there's been quite a lot of interest, and I think I want to include as many people as possible and also maybe cater for those two slightly different groups. So I'm still thinking that through. So if you are interested, please let me know in the comments. I'm going to keep sharing and hopefully have more concrete details for you very soon. So that's my year. I feel like a lot's happened this year, but I'm really excited about it. I feel really like connected to this community, which is lovely, and to my making, and I feel like I'm starting to bring different elements of my practice, my growing, sewing, knitting, my artwork together, and they feel quite connected and cohesive, and I hope that it brings you some joy and inspiration. I know talking with you in the comments really does that for me, so thank you so much for getting in touch. I just love that, and I love hearing what you're working on. So yeah, please get joined in join in, and yeah, if you want to check out my Patreon, I'd be really grateful, and I hope it's also of interest to you and you'd have lots of lovely things on there to interest you. So I'm going to keep building that up over the next, well, continually, but I'm going to put some more time into that as well in the new year. But for now, I'm going to have a little week off. I'm going to check in with my testers, obviously, for my hood, but I'm just going to spend some time on my allotment if it ever stops raining. I hope you all have a lovely start to the new year, and I hope you had a nice festive period if you celebrate it. And yeah, looking forward to talking with you and connecting with you in 2024. So thanks for joining, and lots of love. Speak to you soon.